I, 19M, recently found out that my older sister, 34F, is actually my biological mother. Throwaway account because I don't want this linked to my main account. My older sister, let's call her Rose, and I have a great relationship. Since I was a baby we were raised with an amazing adoptive family, and she has always taken care of me. I grew up in a very warm and loving environment, but from what I was told I was lucky. I was told the story of how me and my sister had two drug addict parents who never took care of us. They never bothered feeding us and used to left us at a junkie friend's house for days to go out partying. When my mom was pregnant with me, she smoked and got drunk. Luckily I turned out pretty fine, pretty often, and when I was born my sister was the only one who took care of me. When I was 2 months old they left us both in a mall and left. We got help from an old couple who also turned into our adoptive family, and we contacted the police, but my parents weren't at the house, which looked like a homeless cave. We never saw them again, and after several months in foster care the couple that helped us throughout the whole way, by the way, agreed to adopt us. Today I'm 19 and Rose is 34. I still live with my adoptive family, and she lives about 20 minutes away, so I come and visit her at least 3 to 4 times a week. So a couple of months ago my friend offered me to take a DNA test to find some information about my heritage, since my sister wouldn't speak of them much. After the results came in I found out some pretty interesting things, like being 50% Ashkenazi Jew. I found out later that I had an aunt, 33F, in the system. I immediately reached out to her. Let's call her Janet, and we agreed to meet in person. All that without telling Rose a thing. When we met up I could see we had some similar characteristics like same hair color and same eyes. We tried to figure things out, so I asked her if she has a brother or sister, and she told me that when she was 13 her 14-year-old sister got pregnant while being drunk with her junkie boyfriend, and a month after giving birth she ran away with the baby after some pretty intensive fights with their parents. They never found her and stopped looking after 1.5 years. I connected the dots, asked to see a picture of her, so we went to her parents' house. Mom wasn't home, and father died 3 years ago. When I saw the picture, I knew this was Rose, 100%. Rose is my mom. We were never abandoned. We didn't have junkie parents, and she fabricated the entire thing to me and our adoptive family. I immediately gave Janet a hug and told her that it's too much for me right now and asked her to keep it a secret for now. I went to my best friend's house, told him everything, and for a week now I'm sleeping over at his place. I told my parents and my sister I'm at his house because he bought a new game that we both wanted for long, and avoided talking to Rose much. I can't look her in the eyes right now, let alone tell her I know the truth. What the hell am I supposed to do? How should I handle this? Should I tell her I know? Edit. My best friend just took me out for a movie and a drink. I'm not that drunk right now though. I thank you all so much for your warm replies. Made me look at the situation a bit clearer. I have decided to break it to Rose this week, but I need some time to think about how to tell her I know. I don't know if I should try getting there slowly or just break the news to her somehow. I even considered bringing her sister with me, but I genuinely think she will be pissed. I'll keep updating as soon as I'll decide how to tell her. Right now going to bed to sleep it over. Edit 2. After seeing some comments asking how the adoption process went, I decided I need to explain some things. First of all, it's worth mentioning that the adoption process wasn't immediate, and it took about a year between the time that happy couple found us outside the mall and the time they adopted us. We were in foster care that time, and Rose used to keep touch with them, and they would come visit us once or twice a week, or so I'm told. I don't know what to believe now. Eventually Rose broke down in tears for them and told them she hates foster care and that her little brother, me, would grow up here, and she couldn't bear that thought. At that time they decided to try and adopt her and hired lawyers and stuff, and after a few months it was legal and done. At least that's what I was told. I don't think my adoptive parents knew, but if they did then that story is probably a lie too. Edit 3. Posted a final update. Update: husband, 31, makes fun of me, 25, around his family for earning little money. Original post here. I took the advice in the comments and confronted him in front of his family by making a joke. At first there was silence till his brother made up a fake laughter to calm the situation, as you literally could feel the tension. My husband just gave me a poisonous look and didn't say anything. Later at home it became a huge fight where he held a speech about his role as man, his proud, and that I were unable to be a good, caring wife who supports her husband. As I didn't shut up this time, he told me to fuck off. I took a few things of mine and went to my parents back quote. I can't believe that he changed to this person, as I met him as a open-minded man, and I can't believe we were trying to have a baby together. I'm glad I could open my eyes before it went that far. I'm going to divorce. My parents are thinking that it's a temporary situation, but I don't wanna risk a life in abuse and handcuffs. Thank you all for your advices. My 33M wife, 33F, has advanced stage 4 cancer and is refusing to discuss any preparations for death. My wife was very unfortunately diagnosed with stage 4 cancer metastasized to her spine, femur, liver, and surrounding lung sac. She refused conventional treatment for about 2 months and was hospitalized with malignant pleural effusion recently and now multiple pathological fractures of her thoracic spine. She is still hospitalized and is refusing to discuss any end-of-life legal matters because she wants to keep an optimistic outlook. We have a son, 3M, together. I'm being supportive, but she won't discuss any potential that she will pass away and its legal effects. She won't make letters or videos to our son for future birthdays or graduations. She won't discuss or reminisce with me on any of our love life. She spent Christmas doing alternative therapies. She is now doing conventional treatment thankfully, but it's stressful to watch her ignore that the medical prognosis is not a long life ahead and some of her choices have strapped us with medical debt not covered by insurance. How can I reach her and discuss being more involved with her treatment and broach an end-of-life discussion, but still support that I want her to beat cancer as well? She's so scared, and I'm scared for her, but I can't be strapped with hundreds of thousands of debt, and I need to know what her future wishes for our son and her memory are as it's eating me up inside. Edit. Spelling. Edit 2. I'm not divorcing her everybody. Also, it'd make her family hate me and complicate a million other things. Also, I'm pretty sure it'd take years to force a unilateral divorce in our state. Final update on my M35 wife, F35, jumping on a plane with another guy. I found the previous post still add to comments, so I deleted the 2 previous posts as my lawyer asked to. All I told cause it would be best to not let her know until in court. I'm sorry for anyone without any context. So she got home about 2 in the morning last night. I was at the house with the boys. She asked if I'd stay the night to help take kids to school in the morning, so I did. She then asked if I'd take off early from work to pick kids up so she can catch up on sleep from working, so I did. When I got a couple of her boys picked up, she tells me her water just got shut off from not being paid. We get to her house and one of the boys straight up told me mom's was on a date this weekend and she wanted yo to think she was at work. So the cat was out the bag. There was still 2 boys to pick up my boy and the youngest the child from the affair. I go up and tell her what he said. I said I don't want an explanation. I'm not mad. I don't want to argue. I'm just telling where I stand. I started to tell her. She starts to argue and says, yeah, said you would take care of me and the kids. I cut her off, said I'm not arguing, I'm saying this, and leaving. Kept it short. It is her day with my son, but I told her I was getting him due to her water being off. If she finds a way to get it turned back on, let me know. Until then he will be with me. Went and picked up my boy and we just got home. I honestly feel a great weight lifted from me by actually telling her I'm done, which is the first time I've actually told her that. I've said it to myself many times, but never followed through. Thanks for everyone's advice and opinions. It honestly helped give me that last push I needed to actually follow through. My 31F husband, 41M, is suddenly becoming more controlling, and I'm not sure what to do. My 31F husband, 41M, and I have been together for 10 years, married for 8. It's been an amazing life. We are both very career focused and agreed on no children. There have been no issues there. What is starting to bother me is this expectation he seems to have that I'm here to serve him and that I cannot question anything he tells me to do. This has started within the last 8 months or so. For example, we had sex twice today because he wanted to. No issue. I love my husband and we have a great sex life. But I will admit that it made me a little sore. So tonight he tells me to take my shorts off while we are in the living room watching TV. I ask him why, and he absolutely loses it. He goes off on me about how I don't question him when he tells me to do something, because it should be obvious what he wants when he's asking me to take off my shorts. I explain to him that I'm sore and would prefer to not have sex again, and he gets more angry. He says it is my job to serve him and not deny him of what he needs. What do I do here? Is divorce something I need to consider? TLDR, husband got upset when I questioned him about a command to take my shorts off. Fight ensued when I said I was too sore for a 3rd round of sex. My 21F, BF, 20M, missed my mother's funeral, not really on accident. I'll try to keep this short. We've been dating for 2 years now. My mother's funeral was this past Sunday. On Saturday, I went with my family to go shopping, and I planned to spend the night there to help with getting things together, and I live 1.5 hours away from the funeral location. Around 4:05 p. he texts me that he's hanging with his friends. I reply with something like "Okie, have fun." Around 8, I had gotten back from shopping, so I call him. Before I can really start talking, he tells me he's still hanging out with his friends and he has to go. I'm a little peeved because we hadn't talked much and I wanted to chat for a few. Around 2 to 3 am, I'm still up getting stuff done for the funeral. He texts me that he just got home. I'm a bit annoyed. Why would he stay out so late when he has to drive 1.5 hours to be at the funeral at 9? He tells me he's just going to stay up and I tell him he should get some sleep. A few texts after that, I'm obviously annoyed, thinking that knowing him, he's gonna fall asleep. But he says he took shrooms with his friends and my attitude is throwing him off. Then I basically say K, good night. The family visitation was from 8 to 9, regular visitation at 9 and the service started at 11. Around noon, after the burial, he tries to text and call, saying he's sorry, and I kinda don't wanna hear it. Now I'm kinda stuck. I don't know how to move forward after this. I feel betrayed, and like he did it on purpose. My 25M, GS, 25F, most recent ex was a sex addict. So my 25M, GF, 25F, have been dating for about 5 months and everything with her is absolutely incredible. We are really in love, and have started the steps of ensuring we are compatible to live together. I as a rule am an extremely non-jealous person. I've never experienced jealousy at any point in past relationships. However, I learned early on, she's very upfront and honest, that her ex of 5 years, broke up about 7 months before we started dating, was a sex addict. Normally this type of thing wouldn't bother me, except it's changed her already low sex drive to even lower to compensate for the fact that she always felt like she had to have sex to make him love her. My sex drive is far from crazy, but hers is like once, or at most twice a week on a good week. Even more so, I have found myself feeling very jealous of their intimate relationship, albeit not healthy, and the fact that there is almost nothing she hasn't already tried with him. I fully realize this is entirely a me problem, and I'm not making it hers, because she's a victim, if anything. But how do I cope with this and quell this stupid selfish jealousy? I, 21F, have fallen in love with my arranged marriage husband, 28M, who doesn't love me back and sleeps with other women because I'll let him. How do I get a happy marriage now? My 21F and my husband's 28M marriage was an arranged one between our parents. I was 16 and he was 23 when they forced us together. I don't want to get into the ethics of this because I know it's bad, and even though it's their culture, their views are cruel and incredibly sexist. Luckily, my husband was a good man, and compared to most of my friends, my marriage was peaceful. He never hit me or treated me like a slave, and I'm so grateful to be married to him instead of anyone else. Our first year was incredibly painful because both our parents demanded grandchildren and neither of us was strong enough to resist them. Luckily, we only had to have sex about 5 times for me to get pregnant with twins, and I thoroughly hated it so much that after we got the positive result, he promised never to touch me again. Something that most men wouldn't have done. It was so painful for me that I was crying every time. I don't blame him too much for the bad experience because we were both virgins, but that week was enough for me to never want sex again. After my sons were born in a thankfully easy birth, we stayed in our country until I was 18, before he got a job in Canada, something we have been after since our marriage. He's a doctor and a really good one. We left our family and moved here, and we were finally free, and neither of us wants to go back. Me for obvious reasons, and him because he's 5th of 11 siblings and his entire family is horrible like my parents. He offered me a divorce if I wanted, so I could have a new life. But I have no education, so I cannot work, and I have 2 sons that need their father, so even though I didn't love him, I stayed and told him as much. We became more like friends, and our marriage only existed on paper, but he was never bad to me. He gave me money to spend, and would buy me things, and I would cook him his favorite food, and keep the house nice for him, and do all the chores. Our children never knew that their parents didn't love each other, because we were always nice to each other. And when we got here, I asked him if I could get an education, so he enrolled me in a local university to study business. I'm almost done now, so I can start working and actually do something besides go crazy in my house. My son started daycare after we came here so that they would learn English, and I started to get really bored, so I downloaded a bunch of apps on my phone because he bought me a brand new iPhone, and that's how I found Reddit, which I have been using to practice my casual English. I'm using a throwaway account because I don't want my actual account to get attention because of this post. After a few months here, he sat me down and told me that he had urges that only a woman could fill, but he didn't want to hurt me and wouldn't force me to do anything. He asked for my permission to have sex with other women, and I said yes. as long as he hid it from other people and our kids. I don't care what he did. He would go out every Friday and come back happy, and I was just happy that he was satisfied. I didn't love him, but I cared for him like I would a friend. When COVID-19 started in mid-2020, I got very sick early. He pulled a lot of strings so I could get the best care in the hospital he worked at. I was useless for almost a month and a half, and he was amazing. He looked after my needs, kept my sons happy, and worked at the same time. What sparked my love was something he did when I was in really bad pain. I was at home then, but I still couldn't really do anything without getting out of breath. It was nighttime, and he was helping me get into bed, but I was struggling for some reason and my entire body was painful. I was trying really hard not to cry and he noticed. He picked me up, sat down on the bed, and laid my head on his lap. He started to stroke my hair while singing to me until I fell asleep, and when I woke up, he had fallen asleep in that position because I was sleeping on him. I didn't want to wake him, so I covered him with a blanket and hugged him until he woke up an hour later. He was so tender with me when I was sick that I fell in love, and even after I was cured, he was still so kind to me. When I'm grumpy, he makes me coffee. When I'm sad, he hugs me, and he does so many other things that show that he cares about me. When I went through a period after my sickness where I thought I was ugly, he started to tell me I was beautiful several times during the day, something he still does. I started to work out with him last summer, and I know it seems a bit boastful, but I think I'm really attractive now. Men started to flirt with me, and even though I would never stray, he is always so protective of me. It just makes me love him more. And he's so good to our sons too. So patient and helpful, even though it's not his duty. I don't remember a single conversation I had with my father where he didn't yell at me. But when my husband talks to my sons, he is so gentle and kind. But he doesn't love me. I was touching him a lot more, and he started to hug me before work, and after I asked, he even started to sleep in the same bed and cuddle me. He rests his head on my chest, and I pet his hair until he falls asleep, and even the way he breathes on me is just perfect. I don't know how to describe it, but I think he looks the most attractive while asleep in my arms. Covered was the best thing that ever happened to me because I fell in love with my husband. But after the lockdown ended, he started to go out every Friday again. And every time he leaves after our children go to sleep, my heart would hurt. I hate that he sleeps with other women, even though it's my fault. And I know that he would stop if I asked, but it would be selfish of me to deny his urges when I can't satisfy him. He even asked me after lockdown ended if I was okay with him still going out, and I wanted to say no, but I said yes, and then ended up crying myself to sleep while holding his shirt that Friday night. A few weeks ago, I followed him and watched him go out for dinner with a beautiful blonde woman. They were flirting so much, and they had sex in his car while I spied on them. We have 2 cars, and he uses that one only for his dates, so that me and my sons will never notice anything. Then they went to a cheap hotel with her for 3 hours. They were on the first floor with the window open, and I watched them do so many things, in so many positions, that I felt dirty for spying. But I was also so jealous of that woman. He texted me that he was coming home, something he always does, even though I'm usually asleep. I drove back home before he came out and made him a snack. He was surprised that I was awake and asked if I was waiting for him, and I asked him how it was. He was uncomfortable talking about it, but I just wanted to know more, so he told me everything. Her name, that he tries to hire her at least once a month, what they do, and so much more. He calls a company, and he hires a girl from them every weekend. He tries to get the blonde, because she's his favorite, because she never says no to anything he asks. I want him to do all those dirty things to me, but at the same time I remember how much it hurt, and I don't want to do it. If I tell him that I love him, I know that he would stop going out, and he won't be as happy. And I also don't know how to have sex, because the last time I did it was when I was 16. He won't enjoy it with me, because I can't do the things I saw the other woman do. But watching him enjoy other women from the side, because I gave him permission, stabs my heart every time he goes out. How do I tell him that I love him without hurting myself, or making him less happy? TLDR, I fell in love with my husband, who I'm in an arranged marriage with, except I hate sex, and gave him permission to sleep with other women. Now I don't know how to tell him I want him to stop. Edit, I'm very sorry, because I made a typo, and we don't have 3 cars, we have 2 cars. One is a nice minivan for my sons, and the other is a youth sedan that he uses as his personal one, and my sons aren't allowed in it. We aren't rich enough to own 3 cars, or have room for 3. Our driveway is so narrow that we have to park them in a line, and the sedan is almost in the road. To those of you who think this is fake, I'm happy that your life is so normal that something like this seems like a story. I would do anything to exchange with you. and thank you for complimenting my English. Reddit was very helpful. We talked last night, and it was kind of bittersweet. I told him how I felt, and showed him the post, and he got really sad. He didn't know it hurt me that much, or that I was so attracted to him. And unfortunately, he doesn't actually love me, and is just really nice. I should have seen this coming, because back home he was always really affectionate with his friends, like holding hands and hugging them. Holding hands with friends is normal where we come from, and isn't a romantic gesture. He actually thought that all our physical touching was just platonic, and he never had romantic ideas. His touching made me happy, and he enjoyed touching me, so he was happy to do it. And he didn't like seeing me sad, so that was why he started complimenting me and doing nice things. And the protectiveness is because he has seen terrible things happen to women in our country, even if they are wearing proper clothes, and is worried that it would happen to me here too if he doesn't protect me. I wear Western clothing now, and it makes him afraid that someone will try to hurt me. But he is open to actually having a relationship with me, and we are going on a date on Friday. I'm so excited for it, and I've been smiling all day just thinking about it. He asked me to come up with a list of things I want to do, and he would do the same, and when he gets home today we are going to compare them. He said that most of you were right, and that sex with me would be different, since he doesn't feel a connection with anyone he hires, but if he falls in love with me as well it would be way better. But he doesn't want to do it right away, because we have to warm up to it, and it shouldn't be something that is rushed. He told me not to worry if I can't do the things they can do, and that it is the person that matters, not the act itself. Thank you all for the advice.